Chapter 1. K.I.S.S. Keep it simple, stupid. And I also recently heard someone say, keep it simple, saint. But when it was given to me, it was keep it simple, stupid, is the acronym that the Lord recently gave me, and then several days later spoke the exact words through another person. It was an awesome and humorous confirmation because in my past attempts of writing this book, I thought I had to tell every detail of what has happened. That was a huge task that enabled me to continue to procrastinate. I think I need to point out that I actually had an advantage of growing up in a family that did not serve or know Jesus. I love my family dearly, and one by one they are coming to a knowledge and understanding of Him. However, when I was growing up, any relationship with God or attending church was not our thing. The reason that I say it was an advantage to be a heathen is that I never would have experienced what I did, and I can never judge anyone else. This makes it much easier for me to view people through the eyes of Christ and have the ability to love the unlovable. When you have been forgiven much, you love much. I also had the advantage of having no religious teachings that would mess me up. I take God at His word, and He has never let me down. Never. I never want to be religious. Religion is a spirit, and it is one of the meanest, cruelest, and most cunning demons. It has several cousins like judgment, criticism, piety, arrogance, deception, manipulation, control, greed, legalism, and a few others. Frankly, some of the deepest hurts that I've experienced have been from the religious bunch. I have had to learn to separate the demons from the people. I am permitted to hate the demons, but I'm not permitted to hate the people. Several years ago, the Lord said to me, "Your biggest opposition will be the religious bunch." I can't even begin to tell you how true that has been. When I reflect back on my childhood, I can see the hand of God on me and the devil who knew the call of God on my life. I do recall the few times that my parents attempted to take us to church. All hell would break loose. Satan knew that if he could bring strife, contention, chaos, and several other spirits on the scene, he would accomplish his goal of keeping us from the Word of God and relationship with Christ. I am the oldest and only girl of 4 children. I have 3 awesome brothers, 2 of which I was integral in helping raise. I remember my mom coming home from the hospital with my 2 younger brothers, and it was like they were my babies. I also did a lot of babysitting for other families, which is how I made my money as a teenager. My father, who was a career military man, was given orders to move frequently. I learned at an early age to not get too comfortable or make friends because it seemed like we were always picking up and moving again. I never was a straight A student like my other brother, but I usually came in with a B average. I did not like myself physically. I thought I was fat and ugly, which I was. When I look at pictures of myself growing up, I do not think that I was cute or an attractive kid. Kids would tease me and call me stupid and fat. The truth is, I was chubby and I loved to eat. I was using food as a narcotic at a very early age. My mother is a gourmet cook, and good food was always around, and it was my drug at the time. I would eat if I was happy, and I would eat if I was sad. I can recall at the age of 16, I became aware of Satan and his many demons starting to talk to me and tormenting me. At the time, I did not know what these voices were, but I knew that something invisible was talking to me. I can describe the spirits of depression and torment hovering over me like a cloud, telling me that everything in life was bad and I was no good. It was also at the age of 16 that I was introduced to marijuana, actually hash, by a relative. At the time, this person was my idol, and I wanted to be just like her. One night, while my parents were gone, she was visiting, and we ingested hash. She stuck the drug into a capsule that we ingested. I then ate an entire cake that my mother had made from scratch. Talk about the munchies. The relative and I were sleeping in the same bed, and I rolled over and threw up in the bed because I was so stoned and so full. Unfortunately, another bad idea and demon was passed on from this relative because she told me that when she was full, she would simply throw up. I was always envious of her slim body, and I figured if puking was good for her, then it was good for me too. So now the spirit of puking, which I believe is a spirit of control, became a huge bondage that brought on many problems for me and my family members. When I started the binging and purging back in high school, it was not as well known as it is today. The world calls it bulimia. I call it a spirit of control, and it has other cousins as well. Nobody in my family could understand this gross habit. Bondage. I never thought my parents I never had told my parents until recently how I got the idea. I had also started running, and my body was now getting toned and muscular. I would sneak food, steal from stores, and binge and purge. It was like I could have my cake and eat it too. It came to the point that this lifestyle, along with smoking pot when I could, literally ripped up our once happy family and loving family. My brother, who was a year younger than I, began to hate me and the chaos that I was creating. We were once very close, and our relationship now had become very explosive under the same roof. My little brothers were victims of the strife and somehow coped with the insanity. God says that a house divided can't stand. My parents forced me to go to a psychiatrist because they simply could not understand why I was doing these things. I can remember hating to go and felt like all I was doing was playing head games with an educated shrink, that is exactly what I was doing. He told my parents that I was very intelligent but screwed up. He had no answers for my problems because the problems were spiritual and demonic. In his defense, he simply was not trained in this area. We were living in Indiana at the time, and I can say that life had turned into a nightmare. When it was time for me to go to college, all I wanted to do was get away from my family, get high, and do my own thing. I had been labeled the devil's daughter because of the chaos created by my actions.